Have you been speaking to Johnny Archer at all after struggling through? How's he feeling?
Well, he's feeling a lot better now. I mean, earlier in the week, he felt that nothing was going to go right for him.
Efren Reyes,
and then when he started to get a few rolls, his opponent started missing shots at very critical moments. And he thought, well, just maybe I can get through this thing. And sure enough, he slipped through. And, of course, Reyes has been playing steady Eddie all week long.
When we first saw the World Championship on these shores, Johnny Archer was rated as the #1 US player, the one that was most likely to be world champion. It's not that, has he just gone off the boil? Is that would be the case? There's nothing gone wrong with his game. Is it just a case of the weight of good players and you can't always win?
Well, yeah, plus Johnny was very, very hot in the early and mid-90s. And then his game went away a little bit, and he admits this himself. This year, however, he's been the hottest guy in the States. He's had, out of 11 tournaments, he's had 9 top 10 finishes. He's won 3 of them, so he's winning 25% of the tournaments he enters. He just won a tournament last week in Canada. Plus, his team won the border battle against Team Canada. So he should be on a roll. Right now, Johnny would be probably the favored U.S. player to win this thing if you had to pick one from the United States. Unfortunately, he's got the biggest hill in the tournament to climb right here.
Against the magician Efren Reyes, a man who just saunters around the table. If he's ever nervous, you'd never know it. Great disposition, a great attitude to life. A hero in the Philippines, and quite rightly a hero for every 9-ball pool player around. A great cueist. Reyes looks like clearing up to win the first rack. Left that a bit short on the 9. Well, perhaps a bit of nerves there. Yeah.
I don't know.
He's still going to make the ball.
I don't know if he has nerves. He's the most laid-back man I have ever met in my life. Right in the heart of the pocket. Takes a tough shot and makes it look easy, Steve. And Efren Reyes leads Johnny now 1-0.
Winner breaks. Efren Reyes not renowned for having the hardest break of the top-class players, but it's nothing to do with how hard you hit them. It's how accurately you hit them and how consistently you can break off on the table that you're playing on. And it'll be interesting to see if these players can learn the break for this particular table, the signature break for this table, which is so often the case where we see a player unfold and win in this World Championship. They start to realise what type of break is needed for this particular match table.
Steve, I watched 2 of Efren's matches yesterday, and he was hitting the break shot harder than I've ever seen him hit before. See, that's really not a bad break. It's not a cannonball break, but it's much harder than we've seen Efren strike the break shot in the past. And with this kind of result, you can't complain about his break.
You can see there how softly he was gripping the cue for how hard a strike he hit. It's similar to perhaps golf. You don't grip the club tight, otherwise you strangle it. And Efren Reyes gripping the cue very softly there for, well, not just that shot, but his break off as well. Very soft grip on the cue.
Efren may be teaching us something there, because we've always been taught that you do hold the cue very, very gently, like holding a child's hand when you make a shot, except on the break shot where you're supposed to grip it very tightly. Maybe Efren's discovered something.
Well, perhaps I just saw the end of that break off when we showed it on the slow-mo there, and it seemed like he didn't really have that much of a grip on the cue. Perhaps we get a chance to see it again later on, another break off. We may see from the start whether he actually does grip the cue exactly the same way. One of the great things about this is if you do grip the cue softly, you can take some of the nervous tension out of your arm.
Well, Efren's taught the world a lot about this game. Maybe we'll learn something new. Only 3 more balls here, and Efren could take a 2-0 lead over Johnny Archer. You sure don't want to get behind early in a match to Efren Reyes. He'd probably be the hardest man in the world to come back on.
Well, this match has been going for what seems like 30 seconds now, and Efren Reyes is 2-0 in front.
Reyes cementing his second 9-ball. And we've got plenty of action around this room today. We're going to go upstairs and watch a match. Here is Holtz.
Mark Holtz from Luxembourg, clinching a fantastic victory against the guy that I lost to last night, Warren Kiamko. Well, that's not on the cards. A Filipino going down.
I had Kiamko favored in that match. I had him favored as a 9-6 winner over Holtz, and it just shows you how volatile 9-ball can be. Whoever's hot on a given day can take the game home.
Rack 3, Efren Reyes to break, leading by 2 racks to 0.
We'll be showing you some more from upstairs later in the day. Keep you updated, especially on the match between Petroni and Morris. Still going on upstairs. Well, another super break, planting the cue ball in the middle of the table. It did get bumped around. Let's have a look at that. If we get, does that look? That's not tight, is it at all?
That's not tight.
That's not a tight grip.
I've never seen a player hold a cue like that on the break shot. I bet I will in the future.
Well, I doubt if he's changed that. It's just that perhaps we've never sort of had the ability to watch it in slow motion.
Yeah,
before.
I just never noticed. But you know, he may have changed something because his break shot has changed. He really is hitting them harder.
Perhaps he's got some lessons from a man who sadly is not here this year. One of the most spectacular breaks, the American Shannon Dalton, who we saw in action last year here. He could break the balls hard.
Oh, boy.
And, of course,
that's why they call him the Cannon.
Shannon the Cannon. And Francisco Bustamante, Efren Reyes' travel partner and partner in crime. He's got a pretty hard break. There's a mistake there big mistake from Efren Reyes, really. He's overhit that by enough to cause a few headaches. But his knowledge around the table, perhaps a 3 cushion. Well, just a 1 cushion there, slowly playing inside the 8. That was a clever shot.
He just never seems to work real hard on the pool table.
Well, he made that look a lot easier than it actually was.
Well, he's making stringing racks together look awfully easy. Archer has done nothing but warm the chair.
You know, we're talking in the studio, Jerry. If you make a bad break and the other guy gets some breaks off and he runs 9 racks, you know, your 1 mistake costs you. The way it's gone at the moment, the 1 mistake that Johnny Archer's made is missing the lag. How ridiculous is that?
Well, we've had 2 huge changes in the format from yesterday. Obviously, one, we're playing a longer race here so that hopefully strategy can come into play. It's not such a sprint. But strategy, like you say, is no good if you can't get to the table. And whereas it was alternate break where one man breaks and another man breaks, now it's winner break.
Efren Reyes back at the table after a little bit of a break. Well, that have stopped his momentum. Well, that's not the best break he's made.
No, that did not look very solid at all. And he's paying the price. Here's the back of his hand on that break you were speaking of.
Well, there's no tension at all there, at all.
Never seen that in a professional pool player before. That's...
Cue ball got quite a nasty kick off the 7 there and ended up... this is the most difficult shot Reyes has had to play in the match so far.
Oh, and he missed it badly.
And when you're going to miss them, it does help if the outcome is that. Just put a bit of unwanted right hand, well, perhaps not right, perhaps just misjudged it.
Yeah, you could see him trying to steer that cue ball after he had let it fly.
Good thing about that shot, though, is in many ways, is because he didn't pot it, he was so far out with it that the cue ball was so far out as well, and it went safe.
Right.
Nasty position for Johnny Archer to come. This is the first time he's had a shot at the table, and this is a horrible shot. Somehow got to swerve around the 5 off the back cushion to try and get lucky is about all he can hope for.
Needs a hit and needs something good to happen. And it almost did, but that's tragic for Johnny. Now he's given the table to Efren Reyes with an easy shot. Here's another look. He had the spin, Steve.
Yeah, great effort. And, well, he's worked so hard to get himself back in to this tournament in what looked like being the biggest shock and upset to go out in the first phase. But was it to any avail? Efren Reyes getting the breaks. And you don't want to give this guy breaks.
And the tables have been open. I mean, there's not a lot of problems to solve on these tables for Efren. The only one thing he has to watch is this shot right here. When he contacts the 9 ball, he doesn't want it to roll someplace ugly like up against the 8.
Both players masters of tactical play, masters of the kick shot. But in open table play, well, that's... Is that okay? Yes, I think so. In open table play, both players can pot the balls, and it's whoever gets going. We saw one rout, our first televised match. He's overcut it. That's an awful shot from Reyes. He's given Archer an in.
He certainly has, and you know, you could see he didn't stay in his form on that shot. He came up and tried to steer the ball immediately.
Well, that's the most emotion I've seen in about 5 years of watching Efren Reyes on the television. The most frustration I've seen him give out.
Well, Reyes knows that Johnny Archer is one of the men in the field quite capable of keeping him in his chair for rack after rack after rack. Johnny Archer is not the guy you want to give an opportunity to.
He's a bit weak on pace on that, but he would have liked to have been another 2 or 3, well, a couple of feet more at least.
But think how big it'll be, Steve. If he can get through this rack, his arm will be oiled up a little bit. He'll be relaxed. He'll be within 2 games instead of 4 down. Big opportunity for Archer here.
Well, he didn't get the name Scorpion for nothing. It wasn't named after the cue. The cue was named after him. That was a difficult shot, made very easy.
Scorpion's a long-time nickname for Johnny. He happens to have been born in the month of October, so his sign is Scorpio.
He was stung by a scorpion as a child, and he had a pet scorpion. How quickly this game can change if Johnny Archer can put a good break together.
Oh, and Johnny doesn't have much problem putting together good breaks. He's one of the big breakers of the game. We're going to go upstairs, Steve, and take a look at some of the action up there.
Is it the match between Morris and Petroni? It's Fayen and Dunn. Well, Niels Fayen against Jeff Dunn from Scotland, and Fayen it was all about level at one stage, but looks like Fayen has stamped his authority on this match. And I would imagine, judging from where the balls are,
that's quite a turnaround. The last time I looked, Dunn was in the lead in this match, and now he hasn't scored another game, and Fayen has just marched through a bunch of racks.
Well, the form player comes good, and I would expect him to clear these last 4 remaining balls up. Morris and Petroni, just for your information, have gone 8-all.
Oh boy.
So it's Petroni to break at 8-all.
A race to 9, and it becomes a race to 1.
Fayen home and dry, I feel. He's not the type of player who's going to make ridiculous mistakes at this level. He's got a solid cue action. We've seen him many times on the match table. He's a very strong-minded character. Back now to another strong-minded character, Johnny Archer, who's raring to break off with the Scorpion break-off cue. Is this this is carbon fibre wrapped around wood, carbon fibre completely? What do you know about it?
Yeah, it is. It is a carbon fiber wrapped around wood cue. It's just for the break cue now. His playing cue has a regular wood shaft.
It looks well, I don't know what it looks like. Solid break. He'll be happy with that. Will he be happy with the outcome?
I think so. He's got a shot on the 1, and the cue ball is going to be headed down table towards where the 2 awaits.
Yes, he's a bit close to the 1 for judging the angle as well as he would like, but somehow he should be able to manoeuvre this cue ball down towards the blue 2. I wonder whether the break-off cue, I assume that Johnny Archer endorses a cue that's carbon shafted to, and you know, for the financial implications of that. Is he happy with that cue, do you know?
Oh, he helped design it. Johnny likes a break cue where the weight is pretty heavy in the handle, in the butt. And he feels that you get a lot more force in the break with the weight back there. And that's what he's designed. It's a real hammer.
That was an excellent shot there. Once again, a very missable shot made to look easy. But then you would expect it. It's the World Championship. You don't get mugs in at this level. They tried in the world of snooker to introduce carbon shafted cues, even carbon wrapped around the wood inside. They've never took off. And we're still with plain old wood with a plain leather tip, and nobody's invented anything better.
The fact that we're with a leather tip after 100 years is amazing to me. It does seem like there'd be a synthetic rubber available that would not have to require chalk. But we're the same way in pool. You know, we're still with the wood shafts for most cues. Now, there are a few cues out there that have fiberglass shafts that have sold quite well, but they haven't taken off the way that we had thought they would 4 or 5 years ago. We thought that wood would be gone by now, the way it has gone away in golf.
Well, he's back with his regular cue, and he has made a small positional mistake from 2 to 3, and not running through the balls, or not presented with a rack that's an easy run out. He's now got some sort of very sharp, difficult screw back to get as close to that middle pocket as possible without going anywhere near it. That could be said.
You know,
not the 5. He's going to collide into the 9. He's not going to be absolutely sure of how they're going to come out. He's got to be careful of hitting the 9 and going and scratching in the corner pocket.
The scratch is the big danger that looms here. That 9 ball is going to send the cue ball right toward the corner.
If he can screw into the 9 ball so that when the 9 ball arrives after potting the 5, it's got backspin, then you can come off the side cushion and then screw back down the table. Yeah, just to avoid potting the cue ball.
Yeah, what Steve is describing is coming into the 9 with a little bit of draw English and then coming back out to center table.
You've made a hat. That's marvelous.
Wasn't an art major, you know.
Well, he didn't have to.
Wow.
I thought it was guaranteed to collide into the 9.
Yeah.
All that for nothing.
I know, such a pretty picture, all for waste.
Yeah, sitting in the studio watching on the television here, it looked certain that he had to have some sort of contact on the 9 there, just tucking his shirt in. Of course, in a club atmosphere, fouls wouldn't matter, but mustn't touch the 9.
The game is best analyzed from the table, but they won't let us out there.
I go out there occasionally, Jerry, and it's much harder out there than it is in here. Trust me.
You always look like you're having a pretty good time out there, Steve.
I do enjoy it. It's marvellous. So Archer getting himself back into this game after one very, very easy miss by the Magician. 3-2, and Archer breaks.
There we go. All that because Efren Reyes got a little sloppy with a shot into the side pocket, and Johnny Archer is going to make him pay.
Multi-format table situation, 4 matches this afternoon. We know it's 8-all. Petroni against Morris. Come on, put us out of our misery. Oh, it's still going on. Petroni's at the table. He broke off in this rack. Oh!
If he leaves that ball over the side pocket, he's full. Can you imagine the feeling going through his heart?
That was a big mistake. A ball that he would have expected to have got a lot of the time. 9 out of 10 at least. In practice, 10 out of 10, perhaps even 11.
Rodney Morris, the 1996 U.S. Open champion.
Look at these. Well, there's a. Yeah, I don't exactly know what that was, but I don't think it was good.
Well, he
he's got a problem with this shot. That's why he sort of thinks that he should have been left an easier shot. I mean, but at least he's back at the table.
Yeah, he ought to be just thankful that he's the one at the table. At least he has control now. He's a very aggressive player. He's not the kind to go for a safe. And as you can see,
what a bank shot that was.
He still has a problem, though, Steve. That 9 ball is right where he would like to send the cue ball through. Instead, he's going to have to draw off to the side rail and out to the 5.
Well, he looks like he may have wrested control of this frame from Petroni, but Johnny Archer, once again,
trailing by 3 racks to 2.
using the black mamba.
Don't worry, we'll keep you posted on the results upstairs, but we do want to come back here to watch Johnny break off this rack.
Hitting a ball with a dead snake. Should be cruelty to animals.
Black is the end color now, or the
Got his whole
lack
bridge
of
hand
color.
on the table there. Sorry to interrupt there.
That's all right.
Whole bridge hand on the table rather than using the rail. That's different, isn't it?
That's very different.
Most players use the rail to bridge over and put fingers over the top of the cue, but Johnny just had his bridge in place there.
Well, maybe he feels that he can put the cue ball a little bit further off the rail and still get a good result.
Most players seem to break from the other side of the table. I mean, both players have decided to use this side of the table. Now, what do they know that we don't?
I don't know, because the table was breaking well from the other side in previous days, but Efren broke from this side and was successful. So you've got to follow that lead.
Obviously, Efren broke from that side because his chair was closer to that side and he couldn't really be bothered to walk over the other side because he fancies he can make balls from everywhere.
As good a reason as any.
Oh, I'm pleased I've got that right.
Archer has a little bit of a problem here, Steve. He's got to get around some traffic to get on that 2 ball. Oh, well, that... Oh, yes, okay. He made the 7. I thought for a moment that the 1 ball had stayed up. Oh, well.
Well, he's in good position if he can draw back straight to where that cue ball is now, perhaps. Or he could draw back and make the 2-3 combination. Combination, even. There's a combination.
I don't think he wants to play either the combination or the combination.
Whichever one.
He'd rather stay with just shooting balls in one at a time.
Okay. Now it looks quite easy, if there is such a thing as easy in the Empire Poker World Pool Championship. Plop the 2 ball in, remain on the 3 ball, but not dead straight on it, so that somehow you can manoeuvre the cue ball up the table for the 4 that's close to the 9. If you don't know the order of the balls left on the table, and they're not always in the same order, it depends which ones go down off the break. Look at the bottom of the screen and you will see the remaining balls left on the table and the order that they have to be potted in. Hence, after the 6 ball, it becomes the 9 ball.
A little bit of traveling to do with the cue ball on this shot. He would like it to have gone considerably further. Now, I'm not going to say that he's going to run into the 9 ball after this shot because we got in trouble last time.
No, he won't. No, he won't at all. He'll be able to screw around the back of the, draw the ball around the back of the 5, and bring it out into open table play.
2 rails and out. Keeps him in the line of position.
And notice any budding 9 ball players, how the top players try to plant that cue ball in the centre of the table. And it always means you have options of shots. So if every time you put the white ball in the centre of the table, you're likely to be on the ball that's next. Oh, that was a bit tricky. He's upset with that one. He's hampered. Great word, that, isn't it? He's hampered.
He is hampered. And that shot didn't sound good. It was like he didn't make good solid contact. Perhaps the Q-tip was slipping off the cue ball.
Hitting down on the ball, slightly more difficult to judge the side spin you may have to put on.
Pretty darn good shot under the pressure that Johnny must be feeling now playing Efren. But with this shot, Steve, he's going to tie this match up, and our race to 9 becomes a race to 6.
How quickly this match turned around after one mistake from Efren Reyes. It's 3-3 Johnny Archer. And Johnny Archer, the man that just scraped through into the second phase of this qualification, is now looking like he may be the psychological favourite.
Back downstairs, Johnny Archer's been spending a lot of time on the pool table.
Last 3 racks have gone his way. solid break, desperately looking to see where the one ball goes, and he'll be very delighted to see it go over that corner pocket with what looks like a relatively easy shot for the 3 ball, which has become the next ball. I think the 2 went in. There it comes.
There you see Johnny, when he breaks, he tends to throw the cue stick through the cue ball. Generates a lot of force that way. And he's going to like everything on this table except the 4 ball. That's the one he's got to travel to.
The only problem, if there is, and it's not, well, in potting the 1 ball, I don't know whether he can slide across the face of the 3 for the other corner. If not, he's going to have to play the cue ball down into the corner to play the long 3 up the table. He could play the 2 cushion to get to that middle of the table and play for where on the snooker table would be the blue spot. But then look at the next ball, which is the 4. That's in a tricky position. A little bit of work to do.
Looks like he's queuing up for that 2 rails. That's where he's going, Steve.
Yeah, I think that was the best option, really, wasn't it? Now he's going to have to play. Well, this is not an easy shot now. He's going to have to play to screw, to put backspin on the 3 ball with right-hand spin to bring the cue ball back across to the same side of the table, but try to somehow avoid scratching in the middle pocket. These can go astray.
It is a difficult shot. He sure doesn't want to turn this table back over to Efren Reyes. If he gets on this 4 ball, he's in good shape. He has to avoid the side.
Well, that was an excellent shot. There was a bit of danger there, so close to that middle pocket. And once again, I do apologise for repeating myself, but on the snooker circuit, everybody says to me, well, how do you play that game? It's simple. The pockets are massive. They're also massive for when you go and scratching it off.
And Johnny had some very unfortunate luck. Here you see Reyes, by the way,
squirming
his time,
squirming in his chair after missing that orange 5. That was the last shot Reyes played.
As I was saying, Johnny's had some unfortunate luck earlier in the week with scratches. He's really sent a lot of cue balls down into the bottom of the pocket. So maybe that's all out of his system now.
Maybe, and maybe a player who is given a lifeline goes on to win a tournament. A bit early days, I know, but...
Well, he's got to feel like he's here almost as a gift. So why not just relax and enjoy it? Archer just plotting the path of the cue ball here off the rail. The 6 ball lays down table really very, very open for him. And things are going well in Johnny's life, by the way. He's very happy. His new wife, well, he's been married to Melanie now for almost a year next month, and they've just found out that she'll be giving birth next spring. There's Melanie. She's probably got, she's probably much more fearful than Johnny.
Yes, she's got morning jet lag at the moment.
Archer checking out the path that cue ball is going to take to get back on the 7. And this will be, if he completes this rack, this will be his first lead of the match. And he'll have sent a strong message over to the other chair.
Strange situation to find yourself in as one of the outstanding players of the group phase, swanning through every match to find yourself top of your group. The reward should be a weaker player. Who do you get?
Johnny Archer. Well, and Reyes has stated openly he's determined to win this tournament, and this is one of the handful of guys in the world that are a big threat to Efren Reyes, and that threat just took the lead 4-3.
Not just one of the players who can beat him, more one of the players that Efren knows can beat him. Obviously, he could be in a situation against the likes of me and come unstuck, as did happen a couple of years back, and anybody can lose to anybody at this game over a shorter distance. But not just that, a player that perhaps that Efren fears a bit, and he knew when he missed that 5 ball how important it could have been, because you know full well from the expression on his face afterwards, he didn't laugh and joke it off. He knew it could be a turning point. He's played Johnny Archer before. He knows if you open the door for Johnny Archer, he gets back in. So Efren was very frustrated when he missed that 5.
Yeah, usually when Efren misses, he just tugs at the back of his shirt and grins a little bit, maybe shrugs and walks off.
He knows he's not going to get hurt by the other guy, but this is different. Archer, the Scorpion, lining up from exactly the same place with exactly the same break-off, same cue.
I tell you, if either one of these guys, if the break shot keeps working for them, they can stay at the table for a long, long time.
Well, we heard Niels Van running 15 racks without the other guy in the competition making a shot. This is a great break. But if he gets a kick on that 1 ball, it's great. Now, well, can he cut the 1 ball in and retain position on the 2 ball?
Well, he can definitely cut the ball in. The big question there is the second part of your question, the 2 ball.
Okay, so it would appear that that 1 ball, after cutting the cue ball comes off the bottom cushion, side cushion. He could try and perhaps collide with the 6 and the 2. He could try and leave them alone and perhaps play the 2 down into the corner pocket. Doesn't go. Does it go?
Well, he could, of course, move the 2 ball away and leave the cue ball tied up against the 6.
Is there a 2-6 combination? Doesn't look exactly on.
Well, there is distance between the balls. If he gets in a position to play that, he may well choose that, Steve.
The problem is that if he loses control of the cue ball and snookers himself, then he gives advantage back to Ryan. So if you don't know how it's going to end up, sometimes you're better off just playing safe. But I feel this is an opportunity at top class level that Archer's got to take on, because this is a chance, even though it's a very difficult chance, to try and run a rack. Perhaps he's going to try and move these 2 balls, I feel. Nope.
He's missed the 1 ball.
He missed it, trying to get good position. And he's got out. Has he got out? He's left it.
You know, he's left a shot here. But Reyes has the same problem now, and it's a little bit easier to solve from this position, but he still has that same problem.
Yeah, and I think it's easier to solve for Reyes, because if the 2 goes past the 4 and he can play this 1 ball cut slow enough, it's easy position on the 2 ball.
Indeed.
We don't know if it does go past the 4. It looks like it probably doesn't go at all go past. From the overhead, it looked a possibility. So he's played the collision.
He's missed it, and is he going to snooker himself behind the 4?
I don't know. I think he's got the gap to put the 2 in the same pocket. If so, that's a massive break.
I can't tell, and he's taking a long look at it. He got up awfully fast, though. He must have an angle here. I mean, he must have an alley. What a break for Reyes that ball didn't roll just another half cue ball.
So he's been sitting down for a while, just calming himself for the formality.
Well, Archer sat for 3 racks, then Efren sat for 4 racks. Now, how long will Archer sit this time?
5 racks? Mark Williams, apart from a couple of shots, sat through 9 racks. Not a nice feeling, but one that I'm sure Mark will get over. I think he said he's got a tea time booked at 4 o'clock on the golf course. So, I don't know what time it is now. I've lost track of time. He's probably teeing off now, isn't he?
He just might be. I don't have a watch on me either. Efren Reyes about to tie our match up at 4, and our race to 9 gets considerably shortened.
And as Efren Reyes just knocks his 9 ball in, Mark Williams has sliced it into the trees.
Yeah, but at least he gets to shoot. Efren Reyes ties us up at 4, and he'll be coming back to the table again with a very important break off. He wants to send that statement right back to Archer. Archer sits and waits. Efren Reyes putting a little powder on his hands and slicking his shaft down. By the way, here's another look at that 5-ball that Efren missed there, Steve, and boy, you can see the frustration.
From the overhead, it looked a lot harder, but from this side shot, it looked a very easy miss. It was an easy miss, and he had quite a lot of area to. From there, it looks like it could be missed.
Yeah, he missed it by half a ball, though.
And you can see with these pockets, even though they are a lot bigger than a snooker table, the cut of the pocket is totally different. Whereas a snooker pocket curves round, the pool pocket has a definite point on it. If you can hit inside the point, you pot the ball. Hit outside the point or exactly on the point, you never make the ball. You see that cue ball there just coming to rest on a pocket that on the snooker table would have sneaked in, and that all of a sudden didn't. The cue ball just hit the point. There's the point.
There's a look at the beveled pool pocket. The area with the cloth on it there is called the facing, and you talk about players, they always want to hit the face of that pocket if they're not going to go right in the center.
One of the reasons why a ball potted down the rail is slightly easier in some ways than a ball potted from the middle of the table. Totally alien to a snooker player's mentality. And Reyes erasing the memory in the best possible way.
Oh.
But all of a sudden, it's gone wrong again. A positional mistake this time. He's just replaying that, don't know why. He's going to have to play either the 4 bank shot or risk the 4-9 combination, and it's not a certainty.
No, and the 4-9, I don't see a great safety result if he misses that 9 ball.
There's no safety here. He's going to play the bank or the 4-9 and screw to safety.
Oh, I know, but I was looking for a two-way shot on the combination so that if he missed it, that the 4 ball might roll safe. And that's going to be tough to do because he's got to hit it straight on. Whoa! Let's not worry about safety. Let's make these extremely difficult combination shots and jump out to another lead. Efren Reyes leads 5-4.
Welcome back to the Cardiff International Arena. It's the 2003 EmpirePoker.com World 9-Ball Pool Championship, and Efren Reyes, the master of 9-ball pool, has wrested control of this match once again from an unexpected first-round opponent, Johnny Archer, who would have liked to have played in a final, not the first round.
Well, he has control, but he also has a break shot, and you can lose control easily on a break shot. What's the 6 ball going to do? It's going to stay out of the way, and he's still got control. He's got a shot on the 1. Look at the bottom of your screen.
Rodney Morris getting through against Fabio Petroni. Warren Kiamco losing to Mark Holtz from Switzerland. Jeff Dunn from Scotland losing expectedly, I suppose, to Neil Fyan. Young against Tan, was it that expected?
Yes, Young is the strongest guy in Korea. He's an amazing player.
Steve Knight under pressure.
Keep watching that ticker at the bottom of your screen and glance up to watch the master play.
Nick Vandenberg against Kevin Smith is our next match here on the match table. Kevin Smith from England, Nick Vandenberg, part of the Moscone winning cup team, the European Cup team.
A little bit of a challenge coming up on the 5 ball, depending on where the cue ball lands. Oh, he's just going to draw it straight back. Yeah, now he has a huge area to work into.
Yeah, another left-handed shot. Well, I don't know.
Well, that does change things, obviously.
Somehow he's going to have to try and get back into the middle of the table for this 6 ball. Doesn't want to collide with it. Now he's got a trickier shot to get on the 7. Well, that's not ideal, really, is it?
Not at all.
Can he avoid contact with the 9? Then it's okay. He can come back out into the middle of the table again, or back down the table.
He's going to have considerably more distance between the... Oh, he's not. He played that angle tight.
Don't go in off. And get going, he thinks. He's just got enough to be able to cut this ball in. So he's going to have to cut the ball in and go twice across the table to roughly the same position as the cue ball's in now.
Efren normally plays such a conservative game. That shot was a bit of a surprise, but it's all worked out.
That's all he had. Twice across the table, keeping the cue ball roughly on the straight line. So has he got enough speed? He's a little bit short of pace, but he should be okay from there. He'll be able to spin that cue ball off 2 cushions and back out to make the 9 an easy option.
This will complete 3 consecutive racks for Efren. Boy, either one of these guys gets to the table, the other one gets a long rest.
There haven't been any tactically critical outcomes of matches over the frame so far. Good rack win there for Reyes. At some stage in some of these longer race matches, there becomes a rack that is a bit of a nightmare to unfold, and it can be a turning point. As yet, most of the play's been open.
Well, it has indeed been open, and frankly, I'm looking forward to one of those racks where there's a lot of ugly balls tied up, and they have to play safeties and play strategy. There's no one better at strategy than these two. And here's 2 more players good at strategy. Corey Deuel on your left, talking to his good friend Rodney Morris.
2 great talents there. Corey Deuel hasn't had the best of the action here on the match table this week, but that doesn't mean to say he's not one of the favourites. And the X factor, Morris coming back to the fold of pool players. Nobody knows what he's capable of.
To break, leading by 6 racks to 4.
Watching their fellow compatriot Johnny Archer. I don't know how they all get on. They seem to get on very well when they're part of the Mosconi Cup team. But they're just watching a great match between 2 masters.
Yeah, really, they're all good friends when they're not playing pool against one another. They're playing golf with one another.
Johnny Archer, no mean golfer. Corey Deuel taking the game up and enjoying it. And obviously, a little bit of fresh air never hurt anybody. And I should think now Mark Williams has just about reached the first hole after playing 7 or 8 decent hacks. And he's now going to 3-putt for an 11.
Well, if he's like me, the most critical part of his golf game is taking enough golf balls to the course to complete the 18.
Golf and snooker and pool, all similar games. You must have no more than 200 thoughts on your backswing. Ooh, he's gone a bit close to the middle, but he's okay.
Still a fairly open table here. A little bit clustered up. 6, 7, and 9 are kind of tight, but should not present much of a problem. Boy, you know Archer would like to see a break happen where there's some balls tied up.
Well, got to get back to the table somehow. It was a 5-ball mistake that led him back in last time. No problems with that one. And you can't really say that there's any problems for the rest of this rack. 7-4. It's a race to 9. The last 64 here at Cardiff. It goes up to race to 11, I think, for the last 16. And the final is a race to 17. A true test, other than the fact that people would like it always to be longer, to make sure that that luck element was taken out of the equation. But still the greatest test of 9-ball in the world. And Reyes has proven the master of most of those tests, and I think in his time has probably won just about everything.
When Reyes completes this rack, he will have matched Archer's effort of running 4 racks in a row. This will be the 4th consecutive rack for Reyes.
Totally different pattern of play we're seeing here as Reyes knocks his ball in.
Well, Johnny continues to rest in the chair while Reyes gets to exercise his arm and keep it warm. That's the terrible thing about Johnny being in that position. The arm just gets colder and colder. And the confidence factor now, as Reyes gets close to 9 racks, the confidence goes away on Archer's side and the tension starts to set in.
And obviously, it's not like Efren Reyes has clincher's disease. He can get over the line whenever he needs to. So Archer's hoping that something goes wrong off a break-off. But we are seeing a pattern emerging, a slightly different pattern from the alternate breaks from the league phase to now winner breaks, that players are starting to win racks in blocks, and then you've got to have the mental strength to try and get yourself back into it. Counter-punching.
I'm curious to watch this break, Steve, because now that Reyes has a bit of a lead, will he pull off the break shot a little bit and try and gain control for sure of the cue ball?
And to make sure he just doesn't lose control, or will he give it everything and try and win the match in one visit, so to speak? If he can get to 8-4, he's definitely a favourite.
Well, it looks like he tapped it pretty good.
Oh, he's got a result there.
Oh, man.
Monstrous result.
And Archer was just in his chair, just shaking his head at that result. He thought he was going to get to come to the table, and at the last moment, an alley opens up.
Oh. You know, you sit in your chair and you're sort of watching 8 or 9 balls whizzing around the table. Your brain's like sort of all over the place. Your eyes are flicking around, seeing where there could be a problem for the other guy. He must have thought he was in with a chance there.
Johnny's quite frustrated at that when those two balls collided in that manner. If they'd collided at a little bit of an angle, they would have gone down that line to block the one ball.
This game sends you mad. Oh, yeah. Totally mad. Round the bend.
I'm looking for a problem. I don't see one.
Well, we didn't see one when Efren missed. Ooh.
Boy, oh boy, he is really playing it tight.
Every shot, effectively, is easy on a 9-ball pool table. Very rarely do you have to play a difficult shot. It's just the accumulation of easy shots. If you take your foot off the gas, so to speak, mentally relax for a split second.
Well, you see Efren, he just crossed himself because he bobbled that ball. It just barely went down. He struck both faces of that corner pocket to send that ball home. Take a look. Watch the pink. Boom, 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 boom.
I thought it might be because he's exactly on the 5 where he was before.
6 ball going to the corner, Steve. He's going to send the cue ball back across the table, pick the 7 ball in the same pocket.
He's going to be a break-off away from getting through what would be a difficult opening match of this knockout phase here. And I'm sure if we get a chance to talk to him at some stage, he will say how relieved he is to have got through Johnny Archer. But
and just think about this from Archer's perspective. He's made 2 mistakes. He lost the leg, and then he missed a ball. That's it.
Well, Mark Williams only made 2 or 3 mistakes, and he lost 9-0. It doesn't take many mistakes. It's a bit like a boxing match. 1 mistake, and you're on the floor. I only made 1 mistake. It's just when I did have my right guard a bit too low. Well, that's not ideal. That is missable. You don't want to be queuing over a middle pocket. You'll get it, but it's he's a bit frustrated with his position.
Yeah, he's very unhappy with his little lapse there, queuing over a pocket. Oh, he's missed it.
Well, that is a sign of pressure, and he's talked himself into missing that. Wow, what a big moment that is. He's banged at that ball. If you'd have stroked it, it would have gone in along that line. He knew it was a mistake, and at this level, even though that was a very gettable shot, he knows that that's a critical position he's left himself in.
Well, you could see the queuing error. The cue ball was bouncing down the table.
Well, his body was moving on the shot.
Right.
He was already up in the air, panicking about getting the ball in, and he knew that was the big shot. He shouldn't have been anywhere near that part of the pocket with the cue ball. And Archer, well, he's been given a dog's chance once again.
Well, he's been sitting in that chair now for 4 racks, almost 5, 1 ball short of 5 racks, and now he's got to come to the table and make a long cut shot. He's made it.
Johnny Archer recovers once again from the brink and gives himself a chance of turning the tables on that man, Efren Reyes. Who's going to win this one? One player has reached this stage of the tournament producing class pool, the other has struggled, and the man that has struggled comes to the table, albeit 7-5 behind, but with the break.
and with momentum. And he's got to feel really good about just having a chance to come to the table. He thought he was done.
The two big mistakes so far have been by Efren Reyes. The missed 5-ball and that lack of position on the 9, which caused and forced the error of the 9-ball miss. Are they going to come and haunt Efren Reyes? Oh, he's got a bad kick on
he's gotten a kick
one there, and it's lost position somewhat on the 1. He's made a ball, so he retains at the table. Has he made a ball? Has he made a ball?
Yeah, he's made a ball.
Yes. No, he hasn't.
Oh, no, you're right. It's hanging in the corner. It's Reyes
yes.
at the table. I thought that ball had gone down, and it just stopped right there on the shelf of the pocket.
He gets so used to them always making a ball. That's the first time anybody's come up dry, I think. So the luck not with Johnny Archer. Now, can Reyes rectify his mistake by getting straight in amongst the balls? That's a great shot, but is he going to be punished? Well, he's got some spin on there to stop that going behind the 9.
Yeah, but I'm not sure he has a shot on the 2. Does the 2 pass the 6 for the corner? Or does it pass the 3 ball for the other corner?
No, but he's got options. You know,
yeah.
he could play a very clever shot here. Try and bank the 2 ball up and down the table and hit the 5. He could play a safety shot. He's got a few options to play here, and he's playing the conservative shot. No risk involved in that. Asking the questions of Johnny Archer.
I'm a little surprised he left that much distance between the cue ball and the 6. He's given Johnny more navigating room than
Excuse me, please.
I might imagine that he would
Settle
have.
down over there. Thank you.
Bit of movement in the crowd. Our referee, Michaela Tab, stopping them from moving around. This game of 9-ball pool is a slightly different atmosphere. There's a bit more razzmatazz around, especially in the evening sessions. But even so, you don't want unnatural movements in the crowd.
Well, someone violated Michaela's cell phone rule, and you do not break the rules in Michaela's room.
Referees, not just 9-ball pool, but now referees on the snooker circuit, and was in action at the Crucible this year, first time. Thoroughly enjoyed the experience. Got a couple of column inches in the papers, only a few minor middle page pull-outs. Good referee though, and goes about her business as you would expect a top-class referee to do. Authoritative.
Extraordinarily, sir. You see what Johnny Archer is measuring. It's very, very obvious. He wants to hit this point on that rail, which will send him into a contact with the 2 ball. Is what happens after the contact. I think the contact's almost automatic.
Well, yeah. I mean, the trouble is, this level, Johnny Archer's has got to try and work out a way of getting them safe. He'll be trying to hit a certain part of that too. Such is the standard of escaping from these shots. They try and make a ball off of the cushion. It's not come out well.
Yeah, he's not going to be happy with this. He's going to be really unhappy with what he comes to the table with next time.
Well, obviously this orange 5 is begging to be made. As long as he makes contact with the 2, he can obviously knock the 5 in somehow. Would he play some sort of combination, or does he not then know where the 2 ball's going to go?
Yeah, I don't like that. I would.
No, you're right. Yes, he's going to try and play with running spin and then off the cushion and contact the 5 and then send the cue ball down towards the 2.
That's a brilliant shot.
Yeah, but
it didn't work.
Exactly. He got too much spin on the cue ball, and the cue ball chased up the table too fast for his liking. 2 went back up the table as the cue ball was coming back down.
Yeah, the brilliant part of that shot was he sent the cue ball in the same direction down the table as the 2 ball, so they should have stayed together and he should have wound up with a shot. Instead, he has a bank shot to worry about.
Oh, well, that's a killer. A killer from Manila.
Manila, okay.
Fair enough. Thanks, I'm sure it's been done. Yeah, I just had to say it once. But you know, what quality of that's a very important shot to be able to play. Well, it was a killer from Manila.
Yes, it was.
If ever you were going to say it, that was the time to say it, surely.
Oh, okay. Watch the side pocket here. Oh, he's got it clear. All right. Efren looking pretty good here.
Not only the ability to play positional play, but banking balls and guaranteeing to bank them, knowing full well if you miss, you could lose the match, is another discipline that you have to be a master of. Spinning the cue ball round the table. A couple of, oh no, perhaps no, sorry, just holding it in the top of the table for the 7. Got my order of balls mixed up then. Coming back down the table now for the 8.
Has a really easy job here to get on the 8. The question will be, how does he land on the 8 to travel back up table for the 9 ball?
And once again, Efren Reyes being let off the hook slightly by the misfortune of Johnny Archer not making a ball on the break.
The break shot is the critical shot in 9 ball at this level. On the amateur level, you might come to the table several times in a single game, but not with these boys. And Efren Reyes now 1 game away from sending Johnny Archer back to the United States.
A tournament that Efren Reyes would love to win again, to prove he's the master. He's not just the player's favourite, he'd like to be considered the all-time best pool player. What better way than to once again win this pool tournament that has made its home here in the UK on Sky TV, and the EmpirePoker.com World Championship beamed around to over 60 countries around the world, and Cardiff is now firmly on the map as far as world 9-ball pool is concerned.
Steve, we got to remember that Reyes cannot relax now. He's only got 1 more game, but if he gives up the table, Archer's already run 4 racks once in this set, and that's all he has to do a game. Reyes probably
Efren Reyes to break,
concentrating terribly hard on this break shot.
End of match if Reyes can break and run out. A game of 9-ball. Hit the lowest ball on the table and make the 9.
To watch, could you please do that?
And
thank you.
Whoa.
Michaela setting some more fans perfectly straight.
That's not the best break in the world.
No, and I don't see anything going down.
And perhaps just a little bit of anticipation that he's 1 break away meant that somehow he didn't connect right with the cue. And with the ball, a little bit of spin on the ball, and if you don't transfer the power from the cue ball through to the 1 ball and through the rest of the pack, don't connect with the 1 ball full enough, perhaps put a bit of spin on the ball, and all of a sudden you don't get the same reaction through the pack and you don't make a ball.
You know, Steve, this could be an interesting rack. That 7 and 8 ball are tied up.
This is the rack we were talking about.
It could be.
The rack where the tactical nuances of the game come into play, and the person that wins it could then go on to win the match. Obviously, if Reyes wins, he's over. But if Archer can get the break off, then he can certainly run another couple of racks.
Yeah, one thing for certain, Efren Reyes has struck his last break shot of this match. The next time that the 9 ball goes down under his cue, it'll be the last time. And by the way, the reason that these players are so picky about having a clean, boy, that was close, a clean cue ball is there's a piece of chalk on that cue ball. When it strikes the object ball, it can cause the balls to take a different course than the one that had been imagined. And look how close this shot was.
Good speed on that, so it was always going to die in the pocket, give up. This is not, as we've mentioned, a guaranteed run out. Okay, 2, 3 hanging over the pocket. 4 is the 4, 8, 7 combination a possibility. If not, he's got to play the 4 into the top right. 5's hanging over the pocket. 6, but then the problem is the 7 and the 8.
And that's a big problem. Now he's in position if he wanted to nudge those balls right here, but then he's taking a big chance on the 4.
Obviously, if he can play very softly with the 3 to leave himself an angle on the 4, in potting the 4 he can shift the 8 and the 7 apart, and he will naturally be on the 5.
Good.
Can he play it soft enough?
Well, he sees the shot that you're talking about there, Stephen.
The only problem, the sacrifice he has to make for doing this is leaving himself further away from the 5 to then get on the 6. But it's a shot he has to play. Guaranteed to split these balls up. But don't hit them too hard, because if he did hit them too hard, somehow, possibly that 7 could bounce off a cushion, snooker him on the 5. You've got to be a bit careful with this one.
No, I think he would like to leave that 7 ball right down near the rail.
Just picking that ball out of the pocket and putting it in another one so it's not in his field of vision when he's queuing over the pocket. Sort of little habit some players have. Oh, he knew that was horrible.
Oh boy.
No.
Oh boy.
The way he played that. Ugh.
That's the last place he wanted that cue ball to wind up. He's not only a straight line, he's jacked up over the 7.
Well, he wanted to keep the 7 over the hole, but he should have hit it harder if he thought that was going to be the end result. But I mean, how do you predict these balls? You win and lose by predicting the outcomes of how the balls react with each other. But this is the same as playing a jump shot, as if there was a ball in the way. He's going to have to jack up in the air, hit down on the ball. That will apply backspin. Now the backspin, if he connects right, will obviously stop him from rolling through into the pocket, but he'd like to get some backspin on enough to screw back for the 6. This is the biggest shot of this match.
Well, he's pocketed the 5, but boy, what a tough shot to have to finish out the rack on with that 6 ball. He's right on what we call the 50-yard line, Steve.
Yeah, well, the best he could have hoped for. He screwed it back. It was a great shot. It really was. I think probably a little bit tentative in not giving it everything for fear of missing the pot. He had to make sure the 5, he can cut the 6 in. The cue ball won't go in off in the middle pocket, but he's got to play it slow enough that he doesn't go down the table and not be on the 7. So rolling this ball slower, there's an element that the tension in his arm could come into play. If the 5 ball was the biggest shot of this match, the 6 ball is now even bigger.
You'll watch the 6 ball coming right at you, and he has missed this shot. Efren Reyes now 4 balls away from progressing. Watch it coming at you.
You can't get a tougher shot at 9 ball into an open pocket, not down the rail, unmissable down the rail. Ooh. He didn't want it to go there, but he's smiling. Now he's got a smile on his face, Efren. He knows he's won it, even though he's out of position slightly. Or was that a smile, or was that a grimace?
Well,
it's
no,
tough to say.
He's back in that situation now where he can afford to smile at an error.
Could have been wind, could have been a grimace.
Could have been, could have been.
Well, he's not ideal on that.
No, he's not. He's awfully straight on this.
Well, he's making hard work of this one. Has he got an angle to screw back?
Well, he's not screwing back, though.
He had an angle. Oh, well. Great match. Efren Reyes was asked the questions of having a tough first-round opponent, and he's answered them.
Efren Reyes taking it home, and after an extremely difficult tournament, Johnny Archer, who just barely scooped through the preliminaries, will go no further. Efren Reyes, however, can look forward to his next match on his